الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today in Jummah we had discussed in regards to protecting a person's gazes and how important this is for a person to get the full reward, to get the thawab of fasting also. That when a person he fasts, then he keeps roza of the eyes as well. A person has to keep roza of the ears. A person has to keep roza of the tongue. A person has to keep roza of his thoughts as well. And a person has to keep roza of his stomach. And after the month of Ramadan, a person doesn't have a holier than thou attitude. He still remains very humble. Actually, the more ibadat a person makes, the more humble he should become. When we're getting towards the end of the month of Ramadan, a person makes more istighfar. He makes more tawbah to Allah wa ta'ala. Now is the night of Qadr. So 21st night, 23rd night, 25th night, when we get towards the ending, what dua are we making? Allahumma innaka afu. Wallah, you are most forgiving. Tuhibbul afwa. Wallah, you love to forgive. Fa'afu anni. Wallah, forgive me. And we shouldn't only make dua for ourselves by saying fa'afu anni. Wallah, forgive me. Make dua for the ummah. Say fa'afu anna. Wallah, forgive all of us. Forgive the entire ummah. So remember the ummah when we make dua. The masla that we explain on the occasion of Jummah in regards to hurmat musaharat. This is a very, very serious issue. We only explain one aspect of it, where we find that sometimes the father-in-law, he touches the daughter-in-law. And that too, he touches her with a little bit of lust. Then immediately that nikah comes to an end, so to say. Now that husband and wife, they cannot reconcile anymore. Sometimes it happens, where it happens with mother-in-law and son-in-law also. The son-in-law, he embraces the mother-in-law, or he touches the mother-in-law, and that too with a little bit of lust, and finish. The nikah has come to an end. So these are matters that we should show real importance to. And many a times this happens in our home. Why? Particularly because there's not proper dressing in the home. When we're in the home, we think this is my son-in-law, this is my daughter-in-law. So the daughter-in-law also, she doesn't dress properly in front of the father-in-law. So when the mother-in-law, she doesn't dress properly in front of the son-in-law. Why? This is my son-in-law. I don't have to make parda from him. So when we think in that way and we dress inappropriately, then we sit with a serious issue and we sit with a serious problem. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala save us. How many homes have come to an end in this way? And how many people, they're living in guna, they're living in sin. Their nikah is come to an end, but they still continue living because of the humiliation, because of the disgrace. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala save us, Allah forgive us. This is particularly in the Hanafi madhab. From here also we come to learn that no person can have trust on his nafs. No person can say that I have taqwa, I have piety, it won't happen to me. No person must have trust on his nafs. Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi rahmatullahi, he said that Maulana Rumi rahmatullahi mentioned in his Masnavi Sharif, he said that there was a snake. He gives the example of a snake. He says the snake, when it is out in the cold, when it is snow, etc., and the snake is lying in the snow, then that snake is like dead. It's got no life whatsoever. Even if a child has to pick up that snake and he has to play with the snake, nothing is going to happen. The snake can't bite it. Because of the cold, the snake is, so to say, dead. There's no movement in the snake. But let the heat strike. And when the heat strikes and now movement comes into that snake, now see how that snake bites you thereafter. A person won't even know that the snake is now alive and has bit him also. So just like that, we should be careful of the nafs all the time. Be careful of the nafs. We don't know at which time the nafs strikes and a person gets involved in the disobedience of Allah Ta'ala. Maulana Masiullah Khan Saheb rahmatullahi, what a great wali of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Hazrat was over 80 years old and he mentioned this poem and he said, Barosa nakar nafse ammara par e zahid. At over 80 years old, he was in Majlis al-Khas. He was with his very special murideen. At that time, he recited this poem and he said, Barosa nakar nafse ammara par e zahid. Zahid is that person who gave up dunya. He got nothing to do with dunya. His connection is only with Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So he addresses that person who is zahid. His connection is only with Allah. So he says that, oh zahid, that don't ever put your trust on this nafs. अगर फरिश्ता भी बन जाए तब भी इससे बदगुमान रहना. If you become the farishta also, you become an angel. And angels, they don't have the ability of doing guna. They only in the obedience of Allah. لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. They don't disobey Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala in whatever Allah ta'ala commands them. They do what they are commanded by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. So he said, even if you become a farishta also, then also always think bad of the nafs. Because you don't know at which age the nafs can strike. And a person, his life is destroyed. There was one alim that was in France. And he wrote a letter once to the Darul Ifta when I was in Azad. And he asked the question. He said that my father and my wife, they were in the home. And perhaps his mother had passed away or whatever the case must have been. So they used to live together. And the father-in-law here also, he interfered with the daughter-in-law. And he told the girl, he said that if you ever tell your husband I will kill myself. I will commit suicide. So this happened 1-2 times, so she was fearful, so she left it. But after it continued, she said, no, I have to take it up. So she took it up, she went and told her husband. So he wrote the letter to the Darul Iftar that what should we do? That girl was from India, she was married in France. We said, you have to send your wife back. You don't have a mother, you will have to make khidmat of your father. You take care of your father. But you cannot continue living with this particular woman, you will be living in guna. Hazrat Hakim Saheb Rahmatullah Alayh, he was so particular about the eyes also. Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah, on one occasion, it is mentioned, Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah was Hakim al-Ummat, Mujaddid al-Millat. On one occasion, Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayh was traveling in the train. So whilst he was traveling in the train, at that time in India, there were 2 compartments. The male compartment was different and the female compartment was different. So when Hazrat was traveling, when they come to the station, Hazrat wouldn't even look out of the window. He would just keep his gaze lowered all the time. He wouldn't even look out of the window. So then Hazrat said, he said, why don't I look out of the window? He says there is a possibility that there is a train that is going in the opposite direction. And that train that is going in the opposite direction, it stopped exactly in line with my compartment. In that compartment that I am, it stopped on the opposite side. And that's the female compartment. And the lady that is sitting on that side, there is a lady that is at the window. And perhaps she's a good looking woman also. He says that if I have to look out of my window, my gaze will fall on her. And he says my heart will immediately now incline. Mawlana Thanvi, Mujaddid al-Millat, he is saying my heart is going to incline towards that woman. That is why I don't look down. I don't look out of the window, I look down. One person came to Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayh. He said, Hazrat, when we don't look, we go through difficulty. So Mawlana Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayh asked him a question. He said that when you don't look at the woman, then how long do you go through difficulty? He said, few hours I go through difficulty, maybe 3-4 hours, whatever the case may be. And he said, if you have to look, then how much of difficulty you go through? Then he said, I go through difficulty 72 hours. Because I looked at that woman, I took enjoyment from her, but I cannot have that woman. So, na lena hai, na dena hai. There's nothing to take, nothing to give also over here. One person, he was sitting in the train, and when he was sitting in the train, he was newly married. So he had his newlywed wife next to him. And she was all dolled up, very, very beautiful also. So one person, he kept looking at her. So eventually this person got tired. The husband got tired, he got frustrated. So what he told him, he said, look as much as you want. You will never get her, she is my wife. So here this is such a guna. There's no benefit for us whatsoever. No benefit whatsoever. We just destroying our iman. So Hazrat Hakim Saheb Rahmatullah Alayhi, Hazrat was very, very particular about this issue, about guarding our gaze, guarding our eyes. That at all time a person will reach the highest darja of wilayat. A person can become a greatest abid, make so much of ibadah of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So to say, we swim the shores and we come almost to the other side. But we will never reach the shore if a person is unable to. Because of this one guna, we cannot reach the shore. But a person that look after the eyes, you see how much of tawfiq Allah Ta'ala gives him to make the ibadah of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, to get closer to Allah. On one occasion, as Hakim Saheb Rahmatullah was on the plane, and whilst he was on the plane, he opened the in-flight magazine. So when he opened the in-flight magazine, all these magazines, they're full of unity. And that is why the West, they advertise this so much. That is why there is so much of immorality, so much of unity. Because the West knows that through this we will destroy the iman of the mu'mineen and the believers. So when he opened the magazine, he opened that page, there was a woman that was there. Hazrat was with his murideen in that particular plane. He called all his murideen. He said, come here, come here. So when they came to Hazrat, he said, see, that I made a mistake. I opened the magazine and I looked at the woman that was in front. He said that I could have made tawbah secretly. Nobody knew about it. It was his guna between him and Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. He said, secretly I could have made tawbah to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. But I call all of you. And I want you to all bear witness that I make tawbah. From this day onwards, I will never open that in-flight magazine again. This is what you call Islam. This is when a person wants to change his life, he wants to become beloved to Allah Ta'ala. This is such a guna that Allah Ta'ala says, يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ. That Allah Ta'ala knows the deception of the eyes. And what the hearts of a person conceal, that is in the knowledge of Allah. Meaning your wife can be sitting next to you in the car. She thinks that you are driving, but where your eyes is, that only Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows. Person is looking in the rear view mirror, and where he is looking in the rear view mirror, his wife doesn't know she is sitting next to him. But Allah Ta'ala is watching every movement of that eye. Where the eye of a person is, what he is looking at. Hazrat Rahmatullah Alayhi, he wrote a poem. And he says, Meri nazar is, I can't remember the exact wording now, that Hazrat said over there that my gaze remains on that person. Inki nazar, meri nazar par pasba rahi. Afsos, main is khabar se bekhabar tha. That the gaze of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala was focused on my eyes all the time. But I was, how sad that I was unaware of this. There was a Sikh that was in England. So the Sikh, he was driving and he came to the traffic light. When he went past the traffic light, there was a robot, there was a camera. So the camera, it shot him. So when it shot him, he went past, he said something wrong, because the light was green and I went through the green light, but the camera shot me. So he took a turn, he came back. He went through the green light again the camera shot him. So he said, no, definitely there's a fault over here. So he went and he brought 1 or 2 passengers that now he needs witnesses also. If this matter must go to court and I need witnesses. So he brought 1 or 2 passengers and they went through it again. When they went through it the third time, again the camera shot him. But when the fine came, when the ticket came, what did it say? He was not wearing the seat belt. That is why the camera had got him. So see, just like that, imagine Allah Ta'ala's camera. Allah is watching us every moment of our life. A person, he goes to a supermarket and he steals in the supermarket. The CCTV camera is watching every movement of his. And now he steals that item, he's coming out of the supermarket. When he comes out, the security stops him. Sir, you have stolen something. What does a person initially say? He denies. He says, no, I haven't stolen anything. They say, no, please come in. So they take him to the camera, they say, see, you have stolen. Now a person, what can he say? He sees it really before him that he has stolen. Now a person is caught. Exactly understanding Allah Ta'ala is watching every movement of ours. Every time a person, he is casting a lustful glance, يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ, Allah Ta'ala knows the deception of the eyes of a person. And shaitan, let us conclude on this. Shaitan is very, very intelligent. For a person that is a normal person, there's a shaitan for him also. For a person that's an alim of deen, for him there's a shaitan also. For a person that's a mufti, for him there's a shaitan, there's a mufti shaitan also. For every person, according to his level, shaitan will tackle him. A person that's a normal person, he's working in his business and his wife has to phone. The wife says that when you come home, bring a pocket of potatoes and come home. What does he say? He says, you nag me the whole day. Even here at work also you don't leave me. But 5 minutes later, let another lady phone. And she says that I want this. See how sweetly he'll talk to her. And he'll even ask her, can I come and drop it off for you also? Where's the difference? So now you say, yeah, it's customer service. But for the wife, that is where you're supposed to be talking sweetly. That is where the love's supposed to have been. But we're living in the topsy-turvy world. Everything is upside down. And for an alim of deen, for a mufti, a lady has to phone and she says, I got this problem, I got that problem. So he's prepared to help her, he's prepared to do everything. That call is supposed to be 2 minutes. He will make sure that it ends up 10 minutes. Why? He's taking enjoyment. Over that telephone call, he's taking enjoyment. How shaitan deceives a person. And shaitan like this destroys a person. So this is a month Allah Ta'ala has given us. This is a month of tazkiyah. This is a month to purify ourselves, to reach Allah wa Ta'ala. And who can make our tazkiyah? Only Allah Ta'ala. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ. If it's not the fazl of Allah wa Ta'ala, it is not the rahmat of Allah wa Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala says, مَا زَكَى مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا. That nobody from amongst you, your tazkiyah would have been made. Only Allah wa Ta'ala can make our tazkiyah. In another verse, Allah Ta'ala says, Allahu waliyyul ladina amanu. Allah is the friend of the believers. Yukhrijuhum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. Allah takes them out from multitudes of darkness and Allah Ta'ala brings them to nur. So here Allah Ta'ala says, Allah takes us out from gunas. Allah takes us out of sins and Allah brings us to nur. On another verse, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا. We sent Musa alayhi salam with our signs, with our miracles. And akhrij qawmaka min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. That, oh Musa, you remove your people from multitudes of darkness to light. Take them out of sin, show them the light. So on this side, Allah is saying, Allah Ta'ala does. On that side, Allah Ta'ala is saying, Musa alayhi salam, you must take them out from darkness, take them to light. So there's contradiction between these two verses of the Quran. Munatanwi rahmatullahi mujaddid millat, Allah reward him. That he explained, there's no contradiction. He says that the actual dua is Allah wa Ta'ala. But he said for the shaykh, a person that puts his hand in some shaykh, the shaykh has a great effect in the life of a person. He will take you to Allah wa Ta'ala. And then Allah Ta'ala will cleanse you and Allah wa Ta'ala will purify you. So a person has to be genuine. Otherwise, this is such a guna. This guna of the eyes is such a guna. A person, he can become 70 years old, 80 years old. Like we mentioned today also, 70 years old, 80 years old, this guna won't leave him. As Rakim Saheb rahmatullahi mentioned that once they came into a bus in Pakistan. So there was one about 70-year-old man that was sitting in the front. So one young girl came and she sat on the opposite side. So when she sat there, Hazrat and them were sitting in the back. So they're watching now that his gaze immediately now went onto this young girl. Now he's so old, but he's looking at this young girl. So to say a person can be colder than a deep freezer also. But the gaze of a person doesn't stop. He still looks, he still takes enjoyment. So the conductor came. The conductor told him, Kaka, ticket le lo. Kaka is in another world altogether. So he shook him up. He said, Kaka, ticket le lo. Kaka doesn't know what's happening whatsoever. So a person, he can reach old age also. This guna won't leave him. Until we are genuine. We make dua to Allah Ta'ala. These are the nights Allah Ta'ala gave us. Make dua to Allah Ta'ala. Oh Allah, you make my tazkiyah. Oh Allah, you purify me. Oh Allah, you cleanse me. These are gunas I can't give up. And when a person, he goes to the mall, it is a necessity. We have to go to the shopping centers. It's a necessity. We have to go to the malls. We have to buy. In the malls, when we go there, the music is playing. We are listening to haram. We're coming back with all that. This is having an effect on the heart. The heart of a person is darkened immediately when we come back from the mall. When a person comes back, read 2 rakats namaz. Make tawbah to Allah Ta'ala. Oh Allah, that I went for my necessity. I had to listen to that music. Oh Allah, you forgive me. Oh Allah, you cleanse me. Just like this, when we go to the mall, sometimes a person, his gaze falls in the wrong place. When your gaze fell on the wrong place, now you return from the mall. Now make tawbah to Allah Ta'ala. Ask Allah, oh Allah, forgive me that I made a mistake. My gaze fell on the wrong place. Many people, they misuse the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where Nabi Alayhi Salatu Wasallam mentioned that the first gaze is maaf. So they say the first gaze is maaf. Let us look as much as we want. As Rakim Saheb Rahmatullah, Allah reward him, how he explained these subject matters. These are things that ulama don't speak about. And they feel shy speaking about these matters. As Rakim Saheb Rahmatullah said that the first gaze is maaf. This refers to a place where, for example, like the masjid, you're in a masjid, and in a masjid there's no woman over here. So a person is looking around, and whilst he's looking around, all of a sudden somewhere a woman just comes about. So your gaze now fell on her by mistake. So that is the gaze that is referred to over here. That gaze is maaf. Allah Ta'ala will overlook that gaze. But when you're going to the mall, there a person not even supposed to lift his gaze. There a person supposed to keep his gaze down, and there a person supposed to walk in that way. Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, it is mentioned when he was the only Nabi of Allah Ta'ala that said, Ya Allah, I want to speak to you. So the ulama say, why no Nabi of Allah Ta'ala asked to speak to Allah Ta'ala? Only Musa alayhi salatu wasalam asked, not speak, he wanted to see Allah Ta'ala. Why no another Nabi asked Allah Ta'ala that, Allah, I want to see you? Only Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Because ulama say that he was Kalimullah, he used to speak with Allah. So because he used to speak with Allah Ta'ala, he went now to the next stage. He became, so to say in our terminology, informal with Allah Ta'ala. So he went to the next stage now. That now I'm speaking to this person, I want to see how Allah Ta'ala looks also. Although he couldn't see Allah Ta'ala, and when Allah's tajalli came down, the Mount of Tur also crashed, so he couldn't see Allah Ta'ala. But from here the ulama say that a person, he now starts chatting. Maybe it's a chat line, maybe it's a WhatsApp, whatever. He will start chatting. He will start speaking. That is, today the fingers are talking. No more the mouth talks. Now today the fingers talk. So a person is talking on the chat line, or whether a person is talking to a woman on the phone, what's the next thought? How does she look? I want to see how she looks. From there it takes him to the next stage, and then from there to the next stage, until a person is totally destroyed. Allah Ta'ala protect us from this, and Allah Ta'ala make our Islam. Cry to Allah, ask Allah, beg Allah, oh Allah, I'm genuine, I want you Allah, I love you Allah, I want to come out of all this. And really a person that is genuine, Allah will open the way for him. Allah will take him out. No matter what guna a person is involved in. Mawlana Thami Rahmatullah says, you involved in a guna. Hazrat says that every night, he says, before you go to sleep, read 2 rakats namaz. And cry to Allah, make dua to Allah, Allah, take me out of this guna. Mawlana Thami Rahmatullah says, I guarantee, in a matter of a few weeks, whatever guna a person is involved in, Allah will take him out of that. And when a person comes out of guna, what enjoyment Allah Ta'ala will give a person in this dunya. The enjoyments of Jannah, a person will enjoy in this dunya, inshallah. We'll make zikr and then we'll inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد وبارك وسلم فاذكروني أذكركم أنا جليس من ذكرني दिल मेरा हो जाए एक मैदान हो तू ही तो हो तू ही तो हो तू ही तो और मेरे तन में बजाए आब वगिल दर्द दिल हो दर्द दिल हो दर्द दिल गैर से बिल्कुल ही उठ जाए नजर तू ही तो आए नजर देखो जिधर ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मदुर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह 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 मुहम्मदुर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम الہی دل میں میرے غیر کا اثر نہ رہے، سوائے تیرے کسی پر میری نظر نہ رہے، تو کر بے خبر ساری خبروں سے مجھ کو، الہی رہوں ایک خبردار تیرا۔ لا الہ الا اللہ، 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 محمد رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ الہی آتا ہو ذرہ درد دل کے مرتا ہے بے درد بیمار تیرا، کوئی تجھ سے کچھ کوئی کچھ چاہتا ہے، میں تجھ سے ہوں یا رب طلبگار تیرا، نہیں دونوں عالم سے کچھ مجھ کو مطلب، تو مطلوب میں ہوں طالب تیرا، اٹھا غم رکھ امید امداد حق سے، تجھے غم ہے کیا؟ لا الہ الا اللہ، 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 محمد رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ کوئی مجھ سے پوچھے میں کیا مانگتا ہوں، میں اپنے خدا سے خدا مانگتا ہوں، وہ ہو جائے میرا میں ہو جاؤں اس کا، یہی رات دن میں دعا مانگتا ہوں، عطا کر دے وہ مجھ کو اپنی محبت، میں اس کے سوا کچھ اور نہیں مانگتا ہوں، ہے ناراضگی جس کی دوزخ سے بڑھ کر، اسی ذات کی بس رضا مانگتا ہوں، اصل مجھے دنیا کی خواہش نہیں، میں بخشش بروز جزا مانگتا ہوں۔ لا الہ الا اللہ، 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 محمد رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ یار رہے یا رب تو میرا اور میں بھی تیرا یار ہو، مجھ کو فقط تجھ سے ہو محبت، خلق سے میں بیزار ہو، ہر دم ذکر و فکر میں تیرے مست رہوں سرشار ہو، ہوش رہے نہ مجھ کو کسی کا تیرا مگر ہوشیار ہو، اب تو رہے بس دم آخر ورد زبان میرے الہ، لا الہ الا اللہ، 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 محمد رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ نعرہ مستانہ خوش میں آئے دم، تابد جانا چنی می بائے دم، اللہ جل جلالہ تعالی شانہ، اللہ 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 اللہ، کیسا پیارا نام ہے، عاشقوں کا مینا اور جام ہے، اللہ 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 اللہ، ایچے شیرین است نام، شیر و شکر می شود جانم تمام، اللہ 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 اللہ، اپنے ملنے کا پتہ کوئی نشاں، تو بتا دے مجھ کو اے رب جہاں، اللہ 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 ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. الله 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 الله. This is ordinary. Try to spend some time in the ibadah of Allah Ta'ala, and if we can't do that, no problem, go and sleep. And wake up in the morning, tahajjud time, read our tahajjud, read fajr namaz, no problem. A person, he'll get sawab for sleeping. But don't do anything wrong, don't make ghibat about anybody on these nights. All our amal, take care of them, don't destroy them. Allah give us all tawfiq. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله ولك الملك كله وإليك يرجع الأمر كله. اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد كلما ذكره الذاكرون وكلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون. اللهم افتح أقفال قلوبنا بذكرك وأتمم علينا نعمتك وأسبغ علينا من فضلك واجعلنا من عبادك الصالحين. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها فأنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اللهم ارحمنا بترك المعاصي ولا تشقنا بمعصيتك. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم ثبتنا على الإيمان وأمتنا على الإيمان واحشرنا يوم القيامة مع المتقين مع الإيمان. اللهم اغفر أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارحم أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم أصلح أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم تجاوز عن أمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم إنا نسألك حبك وحب من يحبك والعمل الذي يبلغنا حبك. اللهم اجعل حبك أحب إلينا من أنفسنا وأهلنا ومن الماء البارد. اللهم ارزقنا حبك وحب رسولك صلى الله عليه وسلم. جزا الله عنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم بما هو أهله. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد